Previously on The Compliance Quest, the team introduced themselves and gave a brief overview of their characters. Our DM put each character into context of CMMC and gave a breakdown of how each episode sees the journey. The party begins to discuss the importance of CMMC and why this quest is necessary. As we begin our quest for the protection of CUI, the party debates whether or not CMMC was important and why now would be the time to venture forth of this quest. The party was summoned to the castle and tasked with the beginning of an epic quest to protect the kingdom's most valuable assets, guard the boundaries, and slay the dragons of CMMC.
This is The Compliance Quest. Your adventure to CMMC readiness starts now.
Welcome to The Compliance Quest. Last time we met our characters and we learned a little bit about the quest itself. They met with the viceroy, of the kingdom, and were commissioned to achieve or to pursue the achievement of CMMC compliance. The first mission that they were given was to define the boundaries of the kingdom, to figure out where the treasures lie and to figure out where the trade routes went and where the threats could possibly come from. So before we do that, I figured that we would learn a little bit more about our characters. We met them and their roles and kind of their views on the world and their views on CMMC last time. But to put in more of D&D context this time, we're going to learn a little bit more about their stats. So there's 6 stats. There's strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Strength is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Dexterity is how quick or nimble you are. Constitution is how much punishment your body can take, or if you could eat something bad and not get sick. Intelligence is book learning. Wisdom is street smarts, and charisma is je ne sais quoi.
Charm.
People.
Charm, yeah.
So to kind of start off at the top, our stat block for our paladin, he's a strength of 14, which is a +2. He has a dexterity of 10, not very quick. He does a constitution of 14, which is also a +2, an intelligence of 12, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 16.
Ooh, okay.
Our rogue has a strength of 10, a dexterity of 16, a constitution of 12, an intelligence of 14, a wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 16 as well.
Wow, fast and likable.
Fast and likable,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sly and handsome, like I said.
Our druid has a strength of 10, a dexterity of 12, constitution of 14, spends a lot of time outside, so, pretty tough. Intelligence of 14, wisdom of 16, and a charisma of 10, because of the dirt.
Probably smell bad.
Smell bad, exactly. Spend a lot of time sleeping on beds of leaves.
Wicked smart, though.
Wicked smart, right. And then our wizard has a strength of 8, so he's going to need someone to carry his books around for him.
Oh, yeah.
They're really heavy.
They're really heavy. Nerd. A dexterity of 12, a constitution of 10. Again, a lot of time spent indoors studying. I mean, it's not so tough. Intelligence, though, of 16. Wisdom of 14. And a charisma of 10. Again, charisma of 10, a lot of time studying, not much time interacting with people. So he gets really scared when people talk to him.
Timid.
Sounds like a true engineer, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So usually in D&D campaigns, one of the things that is fun to do is, yes, we have kind of our general recap, but it's always a good idea to kind of get perspective from the players of what they remember, what was important to them. So if we want to go around really quickly and share kind of your takeaways from last time.
I, as a paladin, am excited to uphold our security standards. So I'm really excited to step in and follow my oath to security, and hopefully everyone else is about to join me on that, and that we'll have little to no arguments about what I think is correct and right.
Last time the druid was a little hesitant to get on board with CMMC because she had concerns about being able to balance security and compliance with convenience and practicality. But eventually she came around and decided that starting our journey now rather than later would prevent an emergency from happening later that would for sure throw everything out of balance.
Nice.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think we had a good time sort of, introducing the characters. And I think obviously we decided to go on the compliance quest. So we discussed the reasons why. And from the business point of view, it's if you have CUI and, you want to keep that DoD contract, it's all about reducing risk. And I think from the business side, it makes sense to go forward, to make the investment and learn a little bit about what resources are really going to be required on this quest to go forward.
And as our wizard, of course, I took the stance that it was prudent that we proceed with our CMMC journey as soon as possible so we can begin our phases of defining our boundary, which will be the first leg of our journey here. So I think that lines up real well with our Viceroy's message to us, and our internal conversation, I think, was a really great one for the team. But I think as a group, we've kind of come together and accepted that this is our path, and we're ready for our next steps on the adventure.
Oh yeah, and lastly for me being the bard, it's just making sure that I'm keeping you all on task and making sure we're still going on the right path to our quest and our journey.
Well, and also play us some music because it's kind of...
Hit me with that
we
loop.
can't go on an adventure without music.
Hit me with that loop.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll drop that beat for you all
There we
here. So stay tuned. Literally.
All right. Well, then, with all that being said, let's begin. So, you've agreed to go on the quest, and the Viceroy has defined that the beginning of the quest is to define the boundary of the kingdom, right? And from his perspective, the reason why that's necessary is that you must know what to protect, and if you don't know what to protect, you could protect too little, you could protect too much. And so defining where things lie and where the important pieces of treasure and access are located is the first step in truly being able to guard the treasures of the kingdom. So defining the boundary of the kingdom is necessary before defending it. Currently, fog conceals hidden systems, tunnels, and assets. So you look at a map, and right now the map is very foggy. There are trade routes that are outlined. There are tunnels under the castle that have notes of potential goblins in them. You have a treasury that has multiple access points to it, and then the boundary of the kingdom itself is unclear. Where does one stop and another start? Your allies and your friends, those who provide services externally, are they allowed access? So all of these things must clearly be defined. So I'd like everybody to roll, and we're going to start with that.
Roll.
So give me a roll, and we'll call it a perception check. Yeah, absolutely. Roll.
Which dice?
A D20. I'm
D-
sorry.
roll a
Roll
D20.
a D20.
Okay, I'm rolling the dice here. It's going to hit
All
the
right.
table. Oh, man. Oh, same.
Twins.
Oh,
Not a good one.
my.
Not a good roll, though.
Not a good roll.
I didn't.
Avery always gets the bad rolls.
Okay.
So do we announce the rolls now?
Yes, go ahead
Okay.
and announce
So
your rolls.
I got a 9.
9.
I rolled a 2.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tony and I also rolled twos.
Hey!
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
think the dice are they're weighted.
Yeah. In the wrong direction.
I
Our
think
fate
someone
is
picked the
weighted.
dice.
Okay, so our party of adventurers is very unclear as to what defining a boundary means. So I would like you to, as a party, discuss from your perspective of your character, what does it mean to define a boundary, and then hopefully we can get to a good answer at the other side of this.
Ooh.
Well, our wizard's our smartest guy, so let's hear from him.
That's a fair way to start things off. So from the scholarly perspective, I would say that our boundary needs to be not just physical, but a logical place, because there are many joining areas between our nation and other nations where we have to find that line where our nation ends and their nation begins, and we don't have to protect anything that is outside of our own means. So the typical way that we would begin that process is potentially going around checking the perimeter of our areas, defining, is this a high value target? Is this something that is a common space? Is it a river, a roadway, a building, a storehouse? What is the purpose of that building, and is it ours to protect?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a long journey from my perspective. We have to put our eyes on nearly everything and determine heads or tails whether or not it really fits our parameter.
That's good.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think from the business side, first of all, the boundary map is a real term, not just a D&D term. So it is part of the process to go on your own quest. So I don't want anyone to be confused about that it's actually a real term, and really the first step that you need to define. And it's what is in scope of your certification. It's where you have CUI, and that needs to be defined because the bigger the boundary, the harder the certification, the more things that are in play. So you really need to consolidate where you have CUI, which is another question all itself, is what is CUI? So, but for as far as creating a boundary map, it's defining, what areas are in play and are going to be, part of the compliance.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I think our rogue explained it very nicely there. Basically, I would assume that having our boundaries, that we want to keep guard of what our most important assets are to the kingdom, and we want to be able to find where those assets are and document those assets. So that way, we know that if a peasant is out there taking the king's meat, killing deers,
Damn peasants.
Always stealing meat.
And
All the
those-
meats.
Always
Those-
taking the meat.
those deer are very important to the king, very important, and they should, the peasants that are not supposed to dine on sweet venison are supposed to keep to their bread and their stale bread and stews.
I love the extended metaphor.
We've been talking about the importance of identifying the assets that need to be protected. Have we defined what assets need to be protected? What qualifies the asset as needing protection?
I would say anything that puts our kingdom at harm, anything, any information that could bring our kingdom, can show weakness or vulnerabilities of our kingdom.
Right. I think it goes back to that CUI, and I think sometimes people have a hard time identifying that exact question: is what is CUI? What is that? Where is it? Where is it stored? What counts? So yeah, I could see. I think that's why we all roll low
Yeah.
on our dice, because it's sort of a simple but hard to define question.
It is
It sounds simple.
it is a very simple sounding question that has a very complex answer in reality in every given environment.
Right.
And I
But
believe,
I think from a go ahead.
I believe the only individuals that are authorized to define or identify what is or isn't CUI would be contract officers and program managers. So if an organization or kingdom did have any confusion as to what qualifies as CUI or not, they would need to defer to one of those individuals.
And
But
I think a
to muddy those
strategy.
waters. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
Now, I think overall strategy, from a defense point of view, the smaller you can make that boundary, the easier it is to defend. And I think that's one of your big points that we need to consider when we go on this quest as well.
Well, and again, to kind of further extend the metaphor, right, with what our paladin said, you know, is it, and also what our druid said, defining what is essential, defining what is important, because it's very easy to say, well, everything's important, right? And we need to protect everything. And the reality is that's just not feasible a lot of the time, especially in larger organizations. There needs to be kind of qualifiers for assets, right? You have your CUI, right? Your official marked CUI, that's a no-brainer, right? But do you want that CUI scattered throughout the villages of the kingdom, right? Or do you want it centralized in a castle that has layers of defense that, you know, it's like, oh, okay, that's where our protections lie, right? The other thing too is, you know, and again, to extend the metaphor, it doesn't matter if a peasant's killing deer. Deer might be precious to the realm, but, you know, is it really that big of a deal, right? And do you want to include that in your scope? And then to another point that came up, right? The official marking of CUI, but then there's derived CUI. You know, CUI and those assets that are not marked as CUI, but are designated to be protected as if they were CUI. So there's a massive gray area there that's really fun, really fun. But no, I think this is good. So, you know, hearing the various reasons of why a boundary is necessary, you know, and looking at the map, and seeing some of the fog clear, you know, to be able to determine what's important, and what is not. The other thing too, as your characters are processing, you know, what is actually relevant and what is important to the king and the kingdom, as far as what is the vault, right, of what must be protected. And then there's other elements that come into it as well, right? Mercenary bands that provide protection, you know, soldiers and city guards, all of those things that are considered part of the security of the realm and provide a very vital service. But how are those managed? What are they given access to? So go ahead and roll the dice.
Here we go. See if I get above a 2.
We're having a real rough day as a wizard.
It happens.
One of them days.
One of them days.
Yeah, I rolled a 2.
I got a
Yeah, twos are
14.
popular.
It's my highest
They're
roll
weighted.
yet.
The rogue comes in with a 16. So,
Awesome.
Hey.
yeah.
And I'm coming in with another hot 2.
Oh,
Twos are-
wow.
Twos
This-
is the
his-
number
his-
today.
It's weighted, I'm telling
Eric, you need to put that
These
die
are-
in a freezer and punish
It's
it.
it's about to go into dice jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Dice
When
jail.
it is ready to come out and cooperate, it is welcome to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, looking at some security that is provided for the realm, security that's centered around making sure that the vault of treasure is not accessed by anyone who it's not supposed to be. What is your take as your character on city guards, mercenaries that provide services, and all of those things? Are they in scope? Does it matter? What kind of questions need to be asked of them?
I think Jarrett brought up a really good point earlier of when we were talking about what qualifies an asset as needing protection. He was talking about how anything that could potentially have national security implications to the kingdom, and obviously we think of things like CUI as being the main priority there, but any information as to how that's safeguarded, or maybe the rotating guard shifts, things like that, would also have implications for potential threats to be able to exploit vulnerabilities if they knew the ins and outs of our security.
Like a loose brick in the castle wall.
Yeah, so another in-scope asset would also be security protection data.
I got a point of order. What was the roll of the dice? What did that actually do for us?
To determine, to kind of hedge your answer, right?
Okay.
So you and Avery would then be the right answer for this.
Right. Okay.
I have to lean more into like an incorrect answer with a 2.
All right.
That's
Oh,
hard.
wizard,
It's
that's
hard.
hard for it.
I know.
No, it is hard.
Point
Well,
and
but that's,
counterpoint.
it's fun though, because like what Avery had to do last time, right? Where she had to be the
Exactly.
person that went, nah, I don't think it's the right time. You know, and that's where I think part of the fun of this, and especially in a setting like this, where the die kind of tell the story, right? Is that you have to. I mean, we've heard all the arguments, right? Is that in scope? Is it out of scope? Here's why it's not. Here's why it is. You know, is CMMC important? Is it not? Well, who cares? Never even heard of it. It won't affect me. All those things we've heard, right? But I think kind of playing that out is fun, and it's also informative because OSCs or you know, invested leadership might be listening to this and go, oh yeah, I've heard that. Right. And what's a good argument to counter that? So,
Yeah, look at it from all sides.
All right. So, well, my general thought on the city guard and potential mercenary squads of protection is, well, why are they any better than my wards that I could cast? I can simply protect a barrier, have an automated piece, and why pay a personnel?
That's a good point. I was thinking the same thing. Why would we need any mercenaries or city guards when you have someone like me?
Right. I think being the 16 here, I gotta roll some logic onto it. So it's just the expertise that you need to understand what the rules are, the compliance parts of that to get it right. So it's not only just providing the security, but the actual compliance. And when you break it down, we're really looking at two things, right? We're trying to get to the quest. We're trying to get certified, right? But the thing you always have to keep in the back of your mind is the why part. It's like it's our patriotic duty to protect this information from, you know, our foreign adversaries. And what links do we have to do that? So at least the way I think about it is not only we have to check the box for the compliance and get that certification, but are we doing the things the right way to protect the overall arching reason of why we're doing it?
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that maybe the mercenaries shouldn't be as trusted as the city guard themselves. Maybe if their city guard has been vetted and true to the protection of the kingdom, can we trust the mercenaries to uphold that same value?
Well,
Right,
and I think
'cause-
that just requires an evaluation
Okay.
because there's probably some mercenaries, ESPs, that you shouldn't have in your environment when you're going to have a CMMC assessment. Maybe they aren't able to display evidence of compliance with CMMC, and we shouldn't be sharing CUI or SPD with those mercenaries. But there are also other mercenaries that do their due diligence to be compliant, and maybe they are FedRAMP authorized, or maybe they have an equivalent, or they have all the evidence to display that in like a shared responsibility matrix that they are in fact meeting the compliance requirements to be able to be a part of the kingdom.
I like this druid. I was going to say with mercenaries, some mercenaries may have values other than just how much are you paying me?
Right.
How much? I'm only convinced by the gold here. But
Right. I think we have our street soldiers, you know, the people that can keep the peace and police and all that kind of stuff like that. But we need the special forces in this one because the risk of failing is so high. We need specially trained people that are really ready to go on this topic. And I think taking a mercenary or somebody off the street and trying to use them for this is dangerous for sure.
Absolutely.
So in defining these mercenary groups, how do you know who's supposed to be where?
That's a good question.
I mean, I would expect a mercenary who tells me that they are accredited to do this work would have their own certifications that they could share with us and show us their seals of success.
I like
Right.
seals.
And I think what we've seen, if we're talking about external service providers to come in and help us with this quest, is that we've seen a lot of variance on experience and performance. We've seen a lot in other kingdoms that we visited. They have hired these mercenaries and they actually even have the certifications, but maybe not the experience. And they've paid a lot of money for this protection and not really gotten what they were looking for. They're no further along on their quest than when they started. And
So-
in all practice, it's a lot of wasted money on that.
Strong vetting and recommendations potentially from other trusted nations. Maybe.
Right, and it's early days, and it's early days in this compliance. A lot of people are going off of it, and I was saying the people that were hired had bad intentions, just that they maybe didn't understand the expectations of what the business was trying to do, or the quest was trying to accomplish. So there was a lot of learning on the job, if you will, and not getting people started on their own quest. That's why we really need to have somebody that's done it before and kind of knows how to do the protection, in all honesty.
And I would say there's like varying levels to the seals of success that we alluded to, and that those different seals of success should be, or the various levels of credibility to those should be considered when talking about potentially bringing on a mercenary.
Only trusted banners in my kingdom.
So we've talked about the protection, kind of, and the layering of the vaults for the treasure of the kingdom. We've talked about the integration, knowing that the kingdom can't do everything itself, that there's got to be some exporting of responsibility. How we vet those, where they're allowed, and we've talked about kind of how and where in the kingdom the treasure is located. There's a couple of other things that are required when looking at a boundary. And the next one is, how does the treasure come into the kingdom? Right. In order for a kingdom to get rich, to take care of its people, it can't just hoard its treasure. It's got to get new treasure. And how does that come into the kingdom? And so the party's going to venture forth. Going to leave the castle, leave the enclave of treasure, and explore a little bit of how the treasure comes into the kingdom. So there's trade routes. What are some other ways the treasure might come into the kingdom as you leave the castle walls and begin to not just look at a map, but look at the actual kingdom?
So there are, in addition to roadways, there are waterways that are a good source of income and supplies that come to our town.
Okay. Yeah, I think to sort of break that down from the business side once again, and I think we're talking about CUI coming in and out of your facility. So, I mean, obviously, it can walk out with a person. They could have it in their pocket, on a different piece of media, communication channels,
Parchment.
emails, Teams, yeah, shares on different platforms that you might be able to do. I guess I don't even know, conversations that you have with people. So
Mail.
some of the more practical. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, right? The digital and physical control of CUI can often become very difficult because people are people.
Long are the days, pigeons.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But like Tony, like you said, right? If there's physical CUI on site, someone could put it in their pocket on accident, right? We're not assuming nefarious breach here. We're just assuming that people make mistakes. They could have it on a USB. They put the USB in their pocket. There's controls and protections around all of those things, right? But at the end of the day, it comes down to personal responsibility to a certain extent. But yeah, there's a variety of ways that CUI, the treasure of the kingdom, can come into the kingdom, right? Waterways, walking, pigeons, magical deliveries, right? Portals, the all-powerful arcane wizardry of Microsoft, whatever it might be. But the problem with defining those boundaries is that oftentimes there are things involved in that process, especially with bringing CUI into the environment and CUI leaving the environment, that are unknown until they're discovered. And usually when they're discovered, it's because something happens. And so as the party ventures forth, they are attacked on the road.
Oh,
by,
no.
Oh no.
by a party of misclassification goblins.
Oh no.
So
I hate those guys.
I know, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Everywhere. So we're going to do a couple of rolls. We're just going to kind of do a group. We're not going to do the traditional D&D combat where we do initiative, not for this one. Just a couple of rolls to see if the party is able to defeat the problem of misclassification or if misclassification defeats the party. So let's go ahead and if everyone would like to roll a d20, we'll consider this your attack roll. And Eric, if you'd like to do something different, feel free.
Stop rolling the dice.
Yeah. Did you roll a 20?
20.
Dang, I got a 19.
Nice.
I got
19 and 20.
I got a 16.
Nice.
So
16.
we're
Okay.
well equipped over here.
5.
5.
This wizard, man.
Misclassification's got
All right.
nothing.
So as this party of goblins comes running out of the trees, Jarrett, you step forward and put yourself in between the party and the goblins. What do you do next?
Raise my shield.
Okay.
Raise my shield and swing.
All right. So Jarrett begins cutting down goblins left and right. It's a sight that you've never seen before. You were definitely inspired to keep going and defend this boundary and slay the misclassifications.
Yes.
Avery, you see this happening, and you what would you do next as a druid?
I have a question. So
Sure.
I was reading over some of my character sheet.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
one of my moves is wild shape insight.
Yes.
Can you explain this to me?
So wild shape is it's a typical druid thing where you can turn into any animal.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So you can wild shape into. So just get creative with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You
Any
also have
animal?
You also have command of like nature. So if you want to do like vines or ensnare things or
I
stuff
think
like
I think we need that right here.
yeah.
Are these goblins part of our realm? They're citizens in our kingdom?
No, they're a threat.
Oh, they're a threat.
No,
Yes.
goblins are
Yeah,
nasty
take them
creatures.
goblins.
Are they
Okay.
trying to steal the CUI or just misclassify it?
They've
It's
just been
misclassified.
misclassified. So they
Just causing chaos. in
they're
our
just causing
records.
chaos.
Okay.
They were previously allowed in, and then as you've been pushing the boundary and defining it, you've discovered that they are no longer allowed in.
Okay.
Yeah, so Avery, you got to take them goblins down, girl.
Take 'em.
Well, so
Take 'em.
I guess from a security standpoint, typically the first thing we would do is, lock down an account or something like that. So maybe we have the vines of the trees grab the goblins and kick them out and hold them in like a prison.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then I smash them with my
Yeah.
hammer.
So you see Avery, she puts her staff in the ground and some green comes from it, and as the goblins are running out of the trees sprout vines and begin to grab the goblins and hold them in place.
Oh.
Right.
Nice.
Tony.
All right, I'm going to pull out my weapon that I have in my pocket called
right.
a manual or procedures guide. Okay, and I'm going to start hitting them on the head because I want that to be my guiding force of how to classify that. We should have rules and regulations and training already done. I developed this manual, this workflow, these guidelines, and now I'm training people on how to do that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm hitting them on the head. So I don't know if I have any special powers that I can do.
Hitting them
My
with
strength
Sure.
level.
Sure. I
Straight.
mean, bludgeoning people with policies and procedures. I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the couple goblins that managed to sneak past the vines and manages to sneak past the vengeance of the paladin. The rogue deftly dances in between them, and he's wielding papers that flare with magic each time he hits one of the goblins, and each time he hits one, the goblin just dissipates and is gone. All right, cool, very cool. Our wizard, Eric.
As I attempt to cast a classification spell to gather these goblins together, one of my arcane sigils fails, and the spell fizzles.
Oh.
No, he fizzled out.
He fizzled out. It's all right. Well, so as a result, a couple of the goblins do get through, and run into the town and are unable to be caught by you. But the vast majority were defeated. So we consider that
was a
success.
good roll.
Yeah, it was some really good rolls there.
think-
So well done.
We're as confused as we were about the boundary. I think we defended well.
Absolutely.
I just realized I had a
I just-
signature move on here called Sacred Boundary. That would have been cool to cast, huh?
That's all right.
Do you want?
Man.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time, you know
Yeah, I'd
what?
say-
I was just thinking with my shield and hammer.
Hey, the reality of the situation is this, right? And this is why I think like D&D and security and all this stuff is, we all have these abilities, right? And sometimes in the moment we just forget,
Yeah.
right? It's not that you did anything wrong. You're just like, oh shoot, I could have done that. Oh shoot, I should have done this.
And I could have done it in a cooler way.
Yeah, and it's fine, right? That's the way it works. So
That's your secret power, Jared. You'll save it for next time.
So a couple of the goblins got through, but in a first attempt at defining the boundaries, and in a first attempt at defending the boundaries, I think the party did all right. So as you're wandering, trying to figure out where some of the vulnerabilities of the kingdom are, where some of the integrations for other systems coming into the kingdom. Right, we've talked about trade routes. We've talked about individuals and groups of individuals that are tasked with protecting the kingdom, and then we've talked about again the vault. You as you're walking through the forest, you notice that there's a number of hidden, previously hidden footprints that you come across. And as you investigate a little bit further, you notice that there's a whole other side of this that you hadn't really considered. Right, we had the physical side of it, we had the people side of it, and these are the systems and technologies, so to speak, that have an impact on your kingdom. The ability to send messages to other kingdoms, the ability to receive services from other kingdoms, to establish arcane connections or remote connections to other kingdoms, to give them assistance or to get assistance from them. So let's go ahead and roll dice again, and attempt to create some clarity on what those.
I'm rooting for you, wizard. Come on, wizard.
Come on, wizard. Pull your weight. Let's go.
Come on, whiz.
Much better.
Oh,
Good.
Much better.
not so good. Not so good here.
Ooh.
3. I got a 3.
Tony, you got a 3?
16.
16.
Yeah.
I got a 9.
13.
All right.
Right.
So
We got
if
some
you're-
work to do here.
We'll do the above and below 10, make it easy, right? So above 10, give it your best shot for an answer of how we define these things. Below 10, give it your best shot at being confused. So again, we're talking about, from a practical sense, we're talking about external service providers, we're talking about integrations, we're talking about the potential shadow IT, all those things. How are those defined in the boundary?
What are these footprints? On the ground.
These footprints, they could be remnants from another system or a group that set up their own tracking systems inside of our kingdom. We need to start doing investigations to see what additional routes we may not understand as part of our boundary. Are there underground tunnels? Are there magical pathways? Are we seeing courier pigeons or other messaging methodologies? being cast through our guards.
I just think they're normal footprints. I see them all over the place. They're everywhere. They just lead me back into a circle where I started.
That's what I'm seeing.
I think
That's
those
such a
are
great
your own
analogy.
beats.
That's so true.
It really is.
So you're saying, Tom, that we're trying to identify what kind of asset these, is it like a portal or?
It could be a variety of different things, right?
Okay.
So what kind of asset they are, how do you define them, how does it impact the boundary? How do you need to protect it? Do you need to protect it differently? Whose responsibility is that?
Mm-hmm. Well, so we know that assets can be facilities, technologies, or people. So depending on, I guess, the structure of this pathway being digital or physical could fall
Think of
into.
more like technologies.
Okay, so it's technologies. And then we would need to ask ourselves, are these pathways being used to transmit CUI or not? And then are these pathways being used to transmit security protection data? Yes or no?
I
Yeah.
think those are great qualifications to make sure that we're paying attention to.
Right.
I would like to spend some time to cast a ritual of detection against these trails we're seeing.
Mm.
Okay. I don't have a lot of faith in your ruling ability, though.
Yeah, give it a roll, Eric. Let's see.
Oh,
So would
There
that
we go.
be, will we do a modifier of int or wisdom
go
for
ahead and
this
do
check?
int. Yeah. int.
So that is a dirty 20.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Dirty
So-
20. What is dirty 20?
So a dirty 20 is, so when you roll the die, there's modifiers that you have to add to the die, right? So Eric's intelligence modifier is a 3. So a dirty 20 means he rolled a 17. With his plus 3, it equals 20. And that 20 is when you roll a 20 on the die itself.
Yeah. That's
Which,
a natural.
and for the most part, in every D&D game, again, for the most part, rolling a 20 is an automatic success, and rolling a 1 is an automatic failure.
Critical.
Okay.
Great job being successful, wizard.
Hey,
Do you know what our modifiers are?
So I will tell you more later, but it depends on your stats.
Okay, that's what I figured.
So
yeah, it's on
okay,
the sheet here.
yeah.
I think just going back to that, being confused a little bit. I mean, why? I don't know. We don't understand all these connections where these footprints are. I'm just about ready to just take everybody's computer away. No email if you have CUI. It's just like just shut it down. You know, I can't think of any other way to do it.
well, based on the investigation, it looks like we have a very strong idea of where this path leads. It appears to take us down into a system that was sending out communications to some neighboring countries. However, it seems to be basic marketing information about some of the baked goods that are on sale in our town. Nothing hypercritical, so I don't think that this is going to meet the definition of our boundary of what needs protected.
No secret recipes? No secret recipes in the cookies that were made?
Nope, just discounts
Thank
and
God.
buy one, get one free deals.
Oh, thank you.
I just, from going back from the business side, we just got to communicate a lot, and I don't see how we could do that and protect all the CUI. It sounds like impossible to me. Let's just get rid of the computers. That would make security happy, right?
Sure would.
Let's
Absolutely.
go back
Get rid of all the
pencil
computers,
and
get rid of all the
paper.
people.
Go back to
pencil, paper.
pigeons. Go back to
That's where-
pigeons with enchanted seals that another wizard in another neighboring country would have to. You work his magic to open up the piece of parchment. I miss those days.
Truly a classic lock and key method.
I think our druid's gonna have to pick an argument with the rogue on that one because that completely throws any idea of balance and practicality out the window because there's a lot of things that need to happen. Computers are super important. They make our processes much more streamlined, much more efficient. So even though it does make securing the environment and identifying our scope a lot more difficult, we still need them and we just got to do it.
Well said.
That's great. So in the course of your ritual, you do identify the marketing path, right? Which, as as a boundary exercise is not really in scope for the protection of the kingdom, right? It's not really in scope for the protection of treasure. But you discover two other things. The first thing that you discover is that you have been sharing via carrier pigeon the routes of guards, the schedules of guards, and things like that to better coordinate with another kingdom. And so there should be some further discussion on where that lies. And then finally, you did discover that there is a pathway that is an unauthorized pathway. It's not on any piece of documentation or anything like that. That is from the personal accounts of high-profile government officials, the brother to the king and one of his nephews, that was sending very sensitive information to another kingdom, not nefariously, but to share it and to provide for better defense, but still through unauthorized channels. So let's discuss those two possibilities, what that looks like in the context of DDD and what that looks like in the context of CMMC. How does that impact the boundary?
I think it's obvious that some sort of adjustment needs to happen, that what's happening currently is not right, and we should probably make note of these vulnerabilities that we've identified and talk about a way to remediate them.
I would absolutely second that opinion, because what we need to make sure of is that the information that's being shared does not seem to be nefarious in purpose, but it needs to go through an authorized channel. Otherwise, we'll have these additional secret IT pathways for messaging and routing of data, and we may lose that CUI during the process.
Yeah, why not use the King's roadway of approved, paved walkways or the waterways of the kingdom? Why take a dangerous journey through the forest?
Or make sure that the letters are written in the secret code language for authorized individuals and authorized
enchanted
kingdoms.
runes.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say,
comments.
I don't have time for your little rules. Okay. I'm busy.
Yes.
I know what I'm doing. Okay. I'm careful. I know what to share and what not to share. You guys just leave me alone because I got stuff to do.
There's all those security protections on the King's Road, right? Ugh, if I send it in a secret code, I have to make it into the secret code, and then someone has to decode the secret code. If I just send it from my own account, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
The forest is a more beautiful journey, right? Anyways, it feels more adventurous and exciting. Why would I want to use the safe King's Road or the waterways that are perfectly safe?
So I think that the unauthorized sending of critical information, right? And again, not unauthorized as in the person's not allowed to share it, or that there's some sort of intentional exfiltration. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just so and so sending it from their personal email, something like that. That's an easy one, right? That just can't be, and there's technical controls in place for that. What about the other one? The attempt at coordination for better defense. The
with
attempt,
the pigeon carriers.
Yeah, with to scheduling guards and working on joint things. A, how would that be classified? B, what level of security is necessary for that?
Well, that sounds like security protection data. So that information would be considered. Well, yeah. Well, I guess the paper itself that the pigeon is carrying is a security protection asset.
Yep.
And we certainly wouldn't want our adversaries to gain access to our schedules for rotation of guard.
How would you protect it? What happens once it's outside the boundaries of the kingdom?
As long as we have made sure to seal that message with the proper encrypting runes that our friends on the other side have to unlock the message, there's no harm in it leaving our kingdom. But if it's sent out of the kingdom without runes, then it's for anyone's eyes that fall upon it.
How about we just have a special list of who it's allowed to go to?
Well, how do you
important.
That's important.
I said also important. Yeah.
Because we're setting this stuff on purpose, and as long as they've been vetted,
It shouldn't go to anyone
They
at
can-
your pleasure. It should be
Right.
absolutely.
Let's
an
put them on a
authorized
list. Let's vet them out, make sure they're secure, send them the info as they need it.
We can use tamper evident seals on the scroll.
There you go.
That too.
The wax seal, right?
The wax
Yeah.
seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic encryption.
Right.
Did this without my permission.
Encryption
Ah,
101.
Easily defeated by a hot knife.
I'd like to see that inside a scope for assessment. Right?
Mhm. Yeah, a wax seal.
and can we
That'd be
defend that?
great. Yeah. How do you guys in CUI? Wax seal.
Wax seal with the CUI wax seal on.
If it's cracked, we know it's bad.
Right, exactly.
It's labeled.
Wax on, wax off.
All right. Well, I think this was good. I think the boundary is getting further defined. I think we still have a little bit more to do with some of the more complicated pieces that we're going to discover as we go. But for an initial stab at the beginnings of this quest, to be able to find the boundary that needs, to define the boundary to determine what needs to be protected in order to layer in defense of the crown jewels, the CUI of the kingdom. I think this was a good start to discover what does actually have impact into the protection of that data. As the fog of the boundary begins to clear, and our party begins to understand the complexities of protecting the kingdom and all the information and treasure that flows in and out of it, they begin to venture forth even further to define, to restrict, and to set systems and processes to defend the treasure of the kingdom.
Until we meet again, guard the realm, master controls, conquer compliance. The compliance quest awaits your return. Woo! Yay! All right. And that is it.
You're listening to The Compliance Quest, turning cybersecurity compliance into an epic fantasy journey.